Good morning, everybody. It is Sunday, the 7th of February. I overslept. I did not sleep an alarm. Yeah. I did not set an alarm because today's my day off. I had three things going through my head when I went to bed last night. One, today was going to be my day off and I was going to try to get some stuff done. Two, it is I'm trying to think, which is hard to do, 9th, maybe 10th year anniversary of my father-in-law's passing on this very day. He passed February 7th of 2010, and not that it's hard to deal with, but it's also one of those days to it's a mixed day. I understand what it means for Jerry Ann because even though I do not remember the exact year, no, I'll take that back. I do remember exactly when it was. It was June 23rd of 1986 that my father passed away. So I kind of know what excuse me. I am getting choked up, but I'm also having throat issues. I've been having these issues all season. Well, let's just say since the beginning of the year. But my other thing was I was thinking to myself that today would be one of those days to relax and just do bare necessities, laundry, setting up our pillows for the week, just sitting back and relaxing. But here's the problem. One, everybody in the house is under the weather for various reasons. Mom is getting over a cold, and yes, it was a cold. I'm dealing with seasonal allergies and bronchial issues. Jerry also is having seasonal sinus issues, but she's still recovering from her brother's passing. She's a whole lot better. I can, if I can only get her to be more active, I think things would be a whole lot much better. But the thing is here's I don't know if I want to call it a double standard, but I wait for her to want to do stuff. She waits for me to want to do stuff. And it's kind of like one of those, I have to be reminded. That's why I make a list of things that need to be done around the house. And I don't mean like a chore list. I mean like a project list, like cleaning up her craft room, rearranging the craft room, finish rearranging in here, rearranging the bedroom, just cleaning, major cleaning projects like spring cleaning projects, which are a major necessity right now because I'm going to be honest with you, the last couple of months, probably since I don't want to say all the way back to August, but definitely since last year, since last fall, October, November, maybe. Things are kind of either on a standstill or slow. And I don't mean like nothing's getting done where the house looks disgusting, but it's more like slow goings on putting up decorations, slow goings on taking down decorations, slow goings on projects. The everyday daily stuff seems to be taking nearly all of our energy to do. And I don't mean just Jerry Ann's energy, my energy. The house just feels like it has no energy. No get up and go. I know from previous experiences, excuse me for a second. I know from previous experiences, it's a combination of mental, like depression and whatnot, to physical aspects like aches and pains and hurtings and just things that we cannot fully control ourselves. Um, yes, there's a way to control depression or work around depression, but physical aches and pains due to arthritis, age, inactivity, too much activity, the balance between rest and activity is not there anymore. Um, it's either too much rest, which can cause aches and pains when you go to move, or there's not enough rest because you're moving too much. I know a lot of people say, how is that possible? Well, I'm 49 years old. I am heading into my 50th year. I got until October before I hit 50, but um, when I look back at my life and realize maybe I was too much of an overactive, rambunctious child, and that's everything from attention deficit disorder to hyperactivity, which when you got both, I don't know who has both, but I know for me, because I had and I still have, but it's not as bad. Both, it's kind of hard because one, with your ADD, you could be sitting there going, "Oh yeah, I'm enjoying watching my TV show," or "I'm enjoying reading this book," and all of a sudden, squirrel, and you're off someplace else. And then you got the whole hyperactivity where you feel like you're just like, if you're sitting still too much, you're gonna start shaking because you have too much energy. So you end up becoming the Energizer Bunny, bouncing all over the house, trying to focus on one thing when there's so many other things to be focused on because there's so much stuff to do. And no offense to Jerry, no offense to Mom, I feel like sometimes that, and this is all me, I just feel like sometimes I'm alone when it comes to doing certain things. Not that I can't ask Jerry for help or Mom for help, but it's just like, it's a combination of not knowing what to ask them to help me with, because that's part of it. It's like sometimes I'm just like, Jerry will go, "Is there anything I can do to help you?" And I'll be like, I don't know, because I sincerely don't know what they could do to help me. That and a factor, growing up in with my father. Not saying that he was a mean person or anything like that, but I can definitely tell you this much. My father was the type of person who had this attitude that if you want it done your way, or what you consider to be right, you need to be the one doing it yourself, not asking somebody else to do it for you and then get upset it wasn't done your way or what you consider the right way. It's an ongoing problem between me and Jerry. Not that I don't try to help her out and do stuff her way. It's, for me, it's a combination of the whole, if you want it done your way, you need to be doing it yourself. And what I've been working on for years is I've explained to Jerry, I'm willing to do stuff for her. I'm willing to do what she needs me to do. Problem is, if I cannot see her vision of what she wants done, it is hard for me to do it her way, because one, I'm tired of being told what to do. I'm tired of being told how to do things another person's way. That's one, and that's all on me. The other one is, if she cannot explain it to me in such a way that I can see what she's trying to get to, we end up getting into a headbutting competition of what's the right way, what's the wrong way. Not that there is a right or wrong way. It's just the fact that she has a vision for what she wants done, and I have a totally different vision. Growing up in the military, it's kind of hard for me sometimes when I go into a room, and even in this room, I'm starting to have some trouble, but I know why the room is the way it still is. It's not 100% done. It is, I'm going to say at least 75% done. At least 75% done. But I come in here sometimes, and I sit down, and if my mind is not in the right place, I have issues with so much extra stuff that does not have a home or a place or whatever. And I start to go, I want to pull my hair out. I want to start just picking stuff up and throwing it in the garbage because that's me. I grew up in a minimalist lifestyle because of the military. Because growing up, every 3 years we moved someplace. And we were only allowed X amount of weight. And if we went over that weight on going, especially going overseas or coming back from overseas, going and coming from Germany, basically, it's either A, we had to leave stuff behind, or B, somehow, and it's happened on the way home from Germany, back to the States from Germany, things would turn up missing. I had one of those, those big, round, tall Christmas tins. I wish I had one in here. Christmas tins that was like full of popcorn back in the 80s and whatnot. I had one of those full of Legos. I mean, just crammed full of Legos. That tin ended up missing somehow. Yeah. And I don't know if it was a tea set or a coffee set, which I know because I know my parents, was sparkling, spotless clean, had coffee stains in the bottom. Yeah. Somehow, somewhere in the move from Germany to the States, boxes got opened and stuff got missing or used. Thank God, because between my dad's packing skills and the military skills, nothing was broken. We didn't get back to the States with broken wine glasses or china or anything fragile. And it was kind of funny how it seemed that what was missing the most was toys, my stuff. Of course, as a kid, for the most part, I didn't keep track of everything. The Legos, because of the fact that was one of my main play items. It was the thing that I used or played with the most growing up as a kid, because I had a very vivid, very strange imagination. I can take a Lego set, I can build it into what it was designed to be built in, and then after a while I get tired of it, break it down, I'd lose the instructions, and I would just start making my own weird stuff. Mostly like weird looking airplanes or spaceships or things that when I was a kid growing up in the Air Force, it was like, that's what sparked my imagination a lot. Planes, aircraft. I can sit here and talk about the various different aircrafts I've either been around, seen, or had the chance to basically be in the cockpit while they were on display for Family Day or some other celebration where people were allowed to walk around or even take pictures in the cockpit. I had lost those pictures, but I had pictures of me at the age of 4 in the cockpit of an F4 Phantom. I 10, 11 years old in Germany. I had a picture of me in the cockpit of an F-16. The F-16 was the Eagle, and the F-16 was the Falcon, and the F-15 Eagle, F-16 Falcon. I was in both. Took me a second to remember their names other than their numbers. their designation is what we call them. And then in my preteens, before my father passed away, I had a picture of me in the cockpit of an AH-64A Apache. Yes, I know their numbers and their signs, not just because of the fact I was around them a lot, but because of the fact I had the military, well, I don't know if it was the military or what group put it out, but they had these, like the animal cars that I had as a kid, they had these cars with a picture of the aircraft or helicopter fighter on the front, and on the back it had generic specs. Their call sign, why it was called an Apache or why it was called an Eagle or a Falcon. or Phantom. They're I don't remember if it had payload capacity, but it had like dimensions, speeds, um, basic general knowledge that most anybody could find on the internet about the particular aircraft. Of course, this is back before the internet was a widespread thing. The internet basically started out as just the IBM system, the IBM code for offices, and then they got them into personal computers like the Commodore 64 and um, what my mom and I started calling the Trash 80 because it was such a sketchy piece of equipment. Um, but I grew up abroad. I grew up overseas, or all over. I never had I don't have a quote unquote home state or home location. Um, as a child of the military, I can literally sit there and go, home is where I hang my hat. Because the two places I've ever lived the longest was Arizona and New York. Arizona because the fact that my dad retired there, passed away there, and it wasn't until 11 years after he retired, like 1993, 94, we came to Missouri for one of my mom's aunt's funeral, and we were in St. Louis, sitting on real grass under a real tree going, why are we dying in Arizona where it's 120 in the shade during the summertime, and maybe in the middle of the night during January, February, it drops down to the 30s, 40s. So we moved out here, and then I moved to New York in 99 and was there until 2014. Two places I lived the longest. Everything in between was 3 years here, 3 years there, 4 years in Arkansas. This is back in the 70s and late 70s when Arkansas was still it wasn't fun to live there. I think Arkansas would have been my least favorite place to live in my lifetime. My favorite place to live in my lifetime was Germany. And the funny thing is about Germany is my father was offered by two different people jobs to stay in Germany. They literally wanted us to stay in Germany. Unfortunately, the United States military did not allow that. We had to come back to the States to retire. My father could have taken the job with the understanding that he would be back. The thing is one of the jobs I think they wanted us to be based here in America to help sell certain German products like the security shades known as Rouladen. Not to be considered with the food item, but it was a security shade system that they've been using since World War II. Basically, it's designed to go over your windows and your doors to block out light from inside the house. So if bombers were to fly over that general area, and if everybody had their shades closed, the back then, when they first were brought up, they didn't think anything about thermal imagery or anything like that. But nowadays, it's just a combination of security shades. In most German houses, they don't use thick curtains like we do. They use just basic lace curtains that are good enough to basically not allow people to see everything inside the house, but good enough to let a lot of light in. And at nighttime, they close these shades over their windows to black out street lights, bright lights, things like that. So, and the other one, I think we would have had to go back to Germany because the mayor of the town that we were living in, Altley, I think the mayor wanted my father to be an American liaison between the American GIs coming in and some of the local communities that the mayor was a part of that help American GIs find off-base housing because sometimes there's not enough room on base. But that was also before we before the American government decided to start shutting down non-essential Air Force bases and giving it back to the people of the country. And the Air Force base we were at, Han Air Force Base, otherwise known in German as Flugplatz, was given back to the German people, and the local village turned it into a municipal airport. And we even heard about stories from people that we knew that basically went back and lived there, that the economy for a lot of the small towns that relied on the GIs was kind of dying down and getting, basically they weren't getting as much kickbacks from American soldiers or the American government for all those GIs being there, which is, it's a sad thing, but I don't know if it was to keep up relations or what the deal was. And all that stuff. But my youth was basically growing up in various different locations. I mean, I can tell you some of the locations that I vaguely remember. Tucson, Arizona in the early to mid 70s. Little Rock, Arkansas in the mid to late 70s. Han Air Force Base, Germany from 80 to 83. And then after 83, we came back to the States, and Dad retired from the military at Luke Air Force Base, Phoenix, Arizona. I do not remember the name of the bases in Arkansas or Tucson. I think the one in Tucson is, no, it's not Williams, because Williams is north of Phoenix, so it has to be David Monthan. I do not remember if Little Rock was White Sands or Castle Rock. I think it was Castle Rock, but I'm not 100% sure on that one. I think the reason why I don't know that one is because I somehow, for some reason, most of my memories of Arkansas I have very little to no memories of Tucson, because I was a toddler. Little Rock, I was 70, so I had to be 76, 77, so I was around 5 or 6 years old. We left Arkansas in late 79, so I was about 8 years old when we left. 8 or 9 years old when I turned 9 in Germany, because that was 80. So, yeah. That time frame before 1980 is kind of like fuzzy. Even my time in Germany is getting fuzzy, because that was 4 decades ago. Almost 5. No. 3 decades ago, almost 4. Because I was 10 years old in 81. We were in Germany. So, yeah. I mean, I remember, I can see pictures on the internet of different places in Germany that most people take pictures of because they're tourist locations. The various castles, Burg Geltz, Kokum. I can't remember the name of those, the 2 twin castles. I'd have to look up pictures, but yeah, a lot of the castles along the Mosel River we've been to, but Kokum and Burg Geltz I remember the most, because Kokum was this beautiful, looked like it had not been touched by the war. Both Kokum and Burg Geltz, but Kokum was this beautiful castle, and it was almost like a miniature town within the walls. Now, granted, the town, evolved outside of the walls of Kokum, but in the middle of the walled section of the castle, of the village, however you want to put it, was this nice big tall structure, and on the side of the structure was this mural, And I can't remember what the mural was, but I know it was this pristine looking, like they kept it intact and they maintained it for God knows how long that castle was there. But it looked like one of those castles, like a lot of different castles in Germany, um, looked like they were either untouched by the wars, or after the war they were like one of the first things that they rebuilt or refurbished or whatever. And then Bergelt's, the reason why I remember that one is to get to Bergelt's. Bergelt's was literally in a valley between three different hills or mountains. And to get there, you had to literally walk downhill down this winding road to get to it. And it was literally, Bergelt's is literally 4 or 5, maybe 6+ stories high, and it's literally a, a fortified town that the outer walls, the outer parts of the town are built up, and then the inner circle of the town or inner courtyard of the town is just that, a courtyard. But it's like, to compare it to American structures, it would look like 4 or 5, maybe 6 apartment complexes, like tall apartment complexes that you would see in New York or some big city, that were just butted up and connected to each other to make a. Did it make a hexagon or a pentagram? I don't know, but it was beautiful to go to. You can go online and look at these castles. Don't ask me how to spell them because I don't remember. I'd have to literally look them up myself. But you can just look up castles of Germany, and you'll probably find Kokum or Bergelt's. But look online at any of the castles of the Mosel River Valley. I never got to go to Neuschwanstein. I would have loved to go to Neuschwanstein. It is one of the most beautiful castles that, literally, according to all the history around Neuschwanstein, is neither ally or Axis power wanted to do any kind of damage or fighting around that particular castle. One, it's hard to get to because it's literally on a mountain top, or pretty darn close to the mountains it's south of Munich, Germany, in the foothills of the Black Forest Mountains, or within the Black Forest Mountains of Germany. And there's a lot of history behind that castle. I mean, King Ludwig, that had commissioned this castle to be built by one of his best friends, who was an architectural engineer of the times. At first, King Ludwig was labeled the Swan Prince because, he had one of his castles. He had a number of different castles dotted through that area, but I think from one of his castles to Neuschwanstein, he brung them to Neuschwanstein, and they were beautiful, elegant looking swans, black and white swans. I think, no, most of them were black. And in one of the sections of, it was either underneath the castle or next to the castle, was a I don't know if it was man-made pond or not, but King Ludwig had them brought with him, and he was called the Swan Prince because, he was one of the only people of the time that could literally tame swans, because most swans are aggressive and can be very feisty and mean. And then, because of, I don't know if he came down with an illness or whatnot after Neuschwanstein was built, or before it was finished, and he literally went mad, so they started calling him the Mad King. There's a lot of stories and legends about that too. But I don't think King Ludwig ever got to live in Neuschwanstein because he died from whatever ailment that was causing him to go nuts. I have to do my research on that because I love that. I love the stories around Neuschwanstein. But Neuschwanstein is also the castle that Walt Disney himself wanted to use as, he wanted to recreate it in America to use it as one of his theme imagery on the big screen, because it's been called different names. It's been called the Cinderella Castle, it's been called the Mad King's Castle, it's been called various different names. But go look it up. Go look at the pictures. I mean, you'll understand what I mean by that castle is like one of the ultimate feats of architectural engineer of its time, because most castles were just plain round looking things. This thing was like the crown jewel on King Ludwig's, bio. And it's literally the crown. It's considered the crown jewel of the Black Forest region. But there's a lot of stories and whatnot surrounding that castle alone. Excuse me. Oh, I had to look at something to remind me what I was going to talk about, besides the other things I've already talked about. My last posting, I asked a question of, or a series of questions of what category or what study or whatever should I do videos on. And for the most part, most of you have said whatever you want to do, we'll continue watching. And those people right there, I know, are not only good, loyal fans, but they're also the kind of people like, whatever you want to talk about, we'll listen. I had one particular, actually two, I think it was two different people who made a suggestion that I'm going to listen to, because they said, because I had talked about doing a series on Revelations, and those people said Revelations right now might be too depressing because of our current times. I do agree with you. I mean, there's a lot of things that during our current times are depressing. So I can kind of understand what they're talking about, what you guys are talking about. One person suggested drafting. Another person suggested Norse mythology. But for the most part, the consensus is basically whatever I decide to do. Well, not that I don't appreciate what you guys are saying. It kind of makes me hard, because it's not like it makes it hard because I don't know which out of the categories that I put, I didn't know which direction to go. But I'm thinking that maybe because the consensus is do what you please, we'll still listen. So I'm probably going to try to do a bag of mixed nuts. And what I'm saying is, when I get a chance to, I'm going to sit down with my my calendar book. Oh, I haven't turned this book in a while. That's not good, Jim, because you need to do your schedules. But I'm going to sit down with my schedule. I keep on wanting to say scheduler, but you know what I'm talking about. And one day I might do something with Norse mythology. Another day I might do something with drafting. Another day I'll do something with D&D characters. Basic rolling, basic creation of one. So I might, and then other days I'll just do life updates or chats like I am now. But yeah, this today I woke up late. I woke up at 1. I fell asleep close to 3 o'clock in the morning because my mind did not want to settle down. My body was ready to go to sleep, but my mind was not. I had to literally I don't want to say drug-induced sleep, but I had to do something I don't normally do before bed to help me go to sleep, and that's basically have a drink. Have a small, what I call a nip. I'm pretty sure anybody who knows British terminology will understand what I mean by a nip of mead to help my mind settle down. It did work. It did take a few minutes. It did take a little while to. I knew at 1 o'clock when I was going to bed that I was going to have a hard time, so it took me about an hour and a half after I took that nip to fall asleep or get tired enough to fall asleep. I did not set an alarm this morning because, well, I said it earlier in this video, because I wasn't planning on sleeping that late, but I wasn't planning on feeling rushed. I know I should probably be trying to get off this video because I've got the necessities to do, which is basically my laundry and dishes. Empty out the dishwasher. Not that I have a stack of dishes in my my sink. It's just I ran dishes last night. I need to empty out the dishwasher so we can fill it up. Boy, oh boy. Yeah. And my brain is having trouble waking up. Or it's not that it's having trouble waking up, it's having trouble keeping focus. Because there's so many different things that I want to talk about. So many things that are just in and out in a moment's notice. One thing I have to, or I need to try to get done today is finishing up removing or well, it's not really decorating. I have to get back in my storeroom, storage closet, whatever you want to call it, and find 2 boxes for Christmas, because I didn't bring all the Christmas boxes in for all the Christmas decor. So it's all down. It's just I need to find that other box that I'm missing to put the stuff in, and then I have to get the Valentine's Day decorations, because it's today's the 7 more days. Next Sunday basically is Valentine's Day, and I have nothing prepared for Valentine's. The only thing I'm thinking about for Valentine's Day, hopefully I'm off, is to take my wife out to dinner, or I don't know about taking her out because of our current conditions, but I definitely want to do something for Valentine's Day for her. And it's more for her than me. I know she'll say that we're doing it for each other, but Valentine's Day is one of those holidays that I kind of like. Before I got married, it was like, it's just another day, for a multitude of reasons. The biggest reason was because as a younger kid, or not a younger kid, as a teenager, I had issues. And those issues kind of made it hard for, not only for me to express the idealism behind Valentine's Day, but it's just, let's just put it this way. I didn't need glasses back then. So I shouldn't say near perfect or perfect vision. I had like 20/20 in one eye and 20/40 in another eye, or 20/60 in another eye, which stemmed from having lazy eye when I was younger. But there was a young lady back in high school that I was, how do I put it? Would I put it as infatuated with, or wanted to have as my girlfriend? Why, I don't know. I don't recall exactly why, other than the fact of that, probably because the fact that she was a very cute, lovely young lady. Um, my problem is back then, because of certain attitudes and certain whatever you want to call it. Um, I had a friend of mine describe it two ways. One friend said, "You have the look of a hunter. That when you see something that you want, you lock on it like, you know, it. There's nothing else in the world." And then the other way he put it was, or another friend, actually the friend of the young lady that I wanted to date and call her my girlfriend, and um, I tried to pass her a note, and well, she did receive the note, and the only reply on the note was no. And I asked one of our best friends, mutual friend, and she said, "Well, the problem is," and she described it elegantly. She described it in a way that just made me go, "Oh, I did not know I had that look." But she said that I had the look of a wolf staring down a deer, and I just kind of went, I didn't realize I was that predatorial. Not that I was going to be dumb and do something stupid, but just the fact of that I had that persona. And maybe that helped propel my persona even further into other realms. But we became friends. Not that we were dating, we were just, friends. Of course, I did get involved with a young lady who was also at our school, who I met through PWP, Parents Without Partners. It was a support group for parents and their children if they had basically a divorce or a death of their spouse. That way, the parents can get together, do adult things, dances, parties, one thing or another. And then the teens and the kids can get together for like pool parties, teen dances. And then they had family groups, like we went camping a couple times, pizza parties, various things like that for the families. And I met this young girl who I got involved with back then. But even to this day, after being married for 20, it will be 21 years this year. Even to this day, I still think about the young lady from high school that I wanted to be a boyfriend to. I found out a lot of different things during high school with this young lady. She had problems with, she got involved with guys who were either A, too aggressive, or B, too were borderline abusive. Which I don't know why. Still to this day, but still to this day, every so often I think about like what would have happened if we would have gotten involved, become boyfriend and girlfriend. How far would it have gone? Would have led to a deeper relationship? Led to a marriage, things like that. And it's not that I think about it because of the factor of where I am now. It's just I go back in time sometimes mentally and think about just what ifs. A lot of the things that I think about that are what ifs is like, what if my father did not pass away from diabetes? What if it was he did lose both his legs because of diabetes, but survived it, ended up in a wheelchair, things like that? How things would have been different? And I can think to myself and go, yeah, I know a couple things that would be different. One, he would not have let me drop out of high school. Even with a GED, he would want me to finish it and then get the GED. If I had gone into military, it would not have been the Army. It would have probably been in the Air Force. And he would have coaxed me through the whole thing every time he got the chance to. But there's other what ifs that I'm like, I'm kind of glad that it didn't have that he did. Not that I'm glad that he passed away, but I'm just glad things turned out the way it did, because who knows what it would have been like. First off, and second off, now, would they have been better? Don't know. Would they have been different? Most likely. Um, there's a lot of things I don't talk about on here that has to do with what if my father would have survived. Um, that I'm gonna go ahead and say right now. One, I don't think my relationship with my wife would be the way it is. Better, most likely. Um, Different, definitely. Um, we would not have been in New York as long as we were. Um, uh, Even though the reason why we were in New York as long as we were, in my mind, is understandable, because it was, her family dynamics. Well, I don't want to talk about her family, because some of the things that happened in the past with her family could have been different, should have been different in my brain. But I don't control her. She doesn't control me. I don't put I'm one of those people when it comes to her family dynamics. I don't say anything about it unless she comes to me and asks me what I think, and then I unload. But life is a strange thing, and each one of us has our own different experiences, or our own different personal outlooks, or our own thoughts of how things could be different. Um, Things can be different in a lot of different ways, and it is up to each individual to decide how it's going to be different, or how we're going to do our best to shape our lives and our futures to the best of our ability. For instance, and I'm sorry, I'm going to apologize now, and I'll probably apologize again, that this video is going to get long. We're in a little bit of a crunch here, in the Henson household. Jerry has not been doing a lot of her videos because she's been down in the dumps, and she just didn't think she could do it. She didn't feel like she could do it. So her revenue has dropped. And because of coronavirus and all the things that are happening around Raleigh, some things good, some things bad, some things are just stupid. I'm not getting as many hours as I was when I first started, because of Corona and economics with my job. And what I mean by that is we're not getting a lot of customers, and the bosses, the two partners, are at odds. That in a factor because of the increase in my income. Like when I started, I was only getting like $9.50. Now I'm getting $10.50. That's putting a financial crunch on my job, the people who own my job, the people who pay us, that kind of thing. So I'm at a crossroads where do I get a second job, either temporarily, or do I get a second job that may pay me more money, give me more hours, and becomes my permanent job, and I leave Dickies? I don't want to leave Dickies. Honestly, to God, I don't want to leave Dickies because it's a good job. Now, within the last 2 months, since the beginning of the year, things or actually since before Christmas, I should say that much, things have become strained. And what I mean by that is my direct boss, the person that hired me, basically has her husband has a company of his own. He's I don't want to speak ill, but he's doing used cars, and he's not doing the one incident I know about. The car was a lemon, and she's spending more and more. My boss is spending more and more time working there. She's at Dickie's maybe three 3 to 4 days, and not even a full day. It's like tomorrow, I come in at 1. She's gonna leave at 1. Normally, she would be there from 8 o'clock in the morning time to get the store open and go home around 2 or 3 o'clock in the afternoon. And she would do that 5 out of 7 days. Not anymore. And because of this, a lot of people are either not doing their jobs right, or people who think they know what should be done is trying to be in charge when they have no managerial skill whatsoever. And then it kind of all started between the time she got the car lot and the time her silent partner decided to put a GM of their own in place instead of using somebody who has experience there. So our current the guy that we call it that's supposed to be the GM needs to step up. I don't speak ill of them because of the fact that they're trying to do their jobs. They're all trying to do their jobs, but because we can't get our boss to see what's going on wrong to get it corrected, things are falling apart. The night crew is doing very little to nothing to help the day crew be prepared for the start. So it's like Fridays and weekends, Friday morning and Friday morning, Saturday morning, and sometimes Sunday morning. If we don't have at least one backup of everything that needs to be prepared for the next day, we run into trouble and we end up falling behind, and it causes people like me who have certain forms of anxiety get stressed out. I don't need that. Problem is, any job I go to, I'm going to have stress. Luckily, my stress at Dickie's is low level. My only stress right now is money, my income. I have a number of different jobs that I know I can do. My only biggest fear about any of the particular jobs that I'm looking at, except for maybe one or two, is they're gonna want this to be removed, and I'm like, I might shave this down so it's not so long, and trim this down so it's not so shaggy, but I do not want to trim my beard. I do not want to cut it off, because it's who I am. It's part of who I am. It literally has become a part of who I am. It is, how would you say, matching my persona, my personality. And I'm afraid that if they ask me to remove it, I'm going to have an issue because of who I am. Now I could pull out a particular card that would be part of my constitutional rights is a religion card, and saying I cannot remove this due to my religion. The thing is if I go into an interview, this right here, I can twist up just right, put a rubber band on it, and it's not going to look so bad. It's this and this, my sideburns. Now, I'm willing to trim the sideburns, but yeah, I don't know about the goatee. Maybe cut off the end so it's not so, let me just snip it here. But I don't want to have to play that card, because then they're going to ask questions and I'm going to be like, I don't really want to lie, but the truth is there is nothing in the Christian religion that says anything against trimming your beard or cutting your hair. There is something in the Quran, the Jewish religion, if I'm not mistaken, that basically goes against it. Norse religion, there's very little known about the Norse religion, but most Norsemen do not trim their beards. In fact, I actually did a review. Well, I tried to do a review on jobs in like Norway, Scandinavia, even Iceland, which is still predominantly Norse in language and attitude. Well, not attitude, but they follow a lot of the old school Norse ways. None of those researches that I did said anything about being for or against trimming or cutting your beard. I'm about 90% sure, just because of the different things I read about the Norse people, were that the fact that they are very well groomed, and when they raided or settled in England, a lot of the Saxon women preferred Norsemen over their own people, because the fact that the Norsemen took care of themselves both physically, grooming wise, and hair wise, and just looks in general, their hygiene basically, over the Saxon men of the time. I mean, you gotta realize the Norse people are from a cold climate, and for them to keep themselves clean and groomed, they were taking ice baths. I mean, they were literally cutting holes in the ice of the fjords and taking baths in that frigid, ice cold weather, ice cold temperatures. So it's kind of like, other than in my teeth, and every so often I get dry skin and whatnot, and I think I get dry skin because my skin seems to be the driest and more irritated and whatnot, need more moisturizing than normal during the winter months when I have heat on, which makes me go, I'm not supposed to be living in warm climates. Now, I don't know if this is because this is forced heat, not radiator heat or moist heat. It's a dry heat. So that definitely tells me right there that all those years I lived in Arizona, that caused, I had a lot of, I mean, my whole forehead would be like dry, crackling, and peeling, and looking like somebody tried to scalp me or something, like, cut my skin off, because my forehead was so red from the dry, crackling, peeling skin, like just like this spot right here, which I gotta go put some moisturizer on. Tells me right there I was never meant to live in a dry climate like that. That's why every time we go down to visit family and friends in Texas, I'm like, can we go in early spring or late autumn? That way I'm not dealing with dry temperatures. Well, Texas, the Houston, Sugarland, Galveston region that we go to, is closer to the Gulf Coast, so it's actually more humid than dry. Things like that. So, but anyhow, this is gonna be an hour-long video. I am so sorry, literally so sorry. So I'm gonna go ahead and end this before it gets over an hour. Anyhow, for those of you who stayed this long and watched the whole video, thank you very much. I am sorry it's a long video. I know, like me, long videos I just turn on, put on the side for sound wise, and I do listen. So I'm sorry. Anyhow, if you like this conversation, go ahead and give it a thumbs up. Any questions or comments, go ahead and put them in the question box. If you're new to my channel and choose to join, go ahead and click on the subscribe button, and then a bell will pop up. You can put the bell, you can click on the bell. YouTube will let you know when I put in a new video. And just FYI, I will be doing a variety of different style or different types of videos starting hopefully tomorrow morning. Anyhow, y'all have a good day. God bless. Goodbye.